to this one. All right, so what I'm trying to say is that before you be able to, like, it makes sense for you to, first of all, group your data. Who is this person, man? Hello, I'm in a class. Okay, sir. Sorry, sir. Sorry, sir. I'll call you, sir. Okay, sir. So sorry about that. So the first thing for us to do is to put them into different buckets so that when we are doing our analysis, it makes sense. Because if you do your analysis and you visualize whatever you're visualizing, and people still have to find it difficult to say, okay, this is just, this is Kaduna, this is whatever, and this belongs. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello? Yeah, and this belongs somewhere. Then you've not done a nice job. So doing a nice job means being able to already group it for them. So what we are going to say is we are going to say region. And most times, if you have a data like this, you want to transform it, it makes sense for you to copy the whole of that data and create a new sheet so you don't alter this. You can mess things up and not get back to your original data. So it makes sense for us to pull it. But since we are the ones, the authors and the finishers of this data, I don't think there's any need for that diligence. So here we are going to include region, and this region is now derived. So under region, we are going to say equals if, we are using this. If this is, if this, this is, if D4 is equals, can I use an in operator? If this is equals, if the, I'm coming, if this is equals, Lagos, if this is equals Lagos, I don't want to write this longest stuff. So to use or, we are going to say or. This I've not introduced this, but let me use it anyway. If this, let's come back to this data when I've introduced some concepts, so it doesn't feel like we are jumping. Were we able to do all of this that we said we should do? Like practice with all these. We'll come back to that. We'll come back and do that, but I don't want you to look as if we are jumping because there's something I needed to introduce. So if we were able to do this, I believe we were able to practice this, right? All these stuffs. You are not talking. So now, if we were able to practice it, that means we've understood how to write our if statements. Then I did not introduce the AND operator or the AND function. So the AND function, we use the AND function when we want to combine, just the way we did the and OR when we were doing our SQL. So we use the AND function when we want to have two conditions satisfied. So the AND function is used when you need two or more conditions to be met before an action is taken. So in this table, we are going to ensure that I've forgotten what I've forgotten what I was measuring here. So we are going to ensure that, let me see, I can't really remember what I was measuring. Okay, we are trying, look at this now. We have items, and each of the items have their code. Some of them are for Nigerian. So we have item number, this number represents something, this other number represents something, but this is the country code for each of them. So when we have GHG, is Ghana, this is Nigeria, this is other countries. So now, what we want to do is to, I don't know if I was, okay, we want to give discounts, 10% discount to those who are from Nigeria, who also bought goods worth more than, who bought more than 5 quantities. I think that was what I was, okay, who bought more than 5 quantities. So now, are you following me? Are you with me? Hello, we can unmute. It's not noisy.
Right
We
here.
can unmute. As long as you're not making call, you can unmute so that I will know my network is not worrying. So to use the AND function, we just say equals and the AND for this thing, we can just say equals if we normally we use our if now. We are going to start with an if. So if but here instead of writing just a logical condition, we are going to use an and. So to use an and, we don't say condition and say and. We rather say and. Then inside the and, you write your logical conditions. Before we just write one condition here, logical test, which is what we are testing for. So here we can just say equals and. If you want to make sure that two conditions are satisfied before you take your action, you're going to say equals and you write your condition. So in this case, I want to filter out, uh, I want to ensure that for each of these, the middle number, I believe we remember this. The middle number starting from we are going to have the starting number, the middle number of whatever value we have here, starting from where is supposed to be my starting point. I want to just pick Nigeria from this cell. I want to pick Nigeria. So where should be my starting point? If you look at this, they are consistent. The country code always starts from where? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that means our starting number is supposed to be 5. And we have how many characters? 3 characters. You people should be practicing some of these things we've done so that we don't skip. It doesn't look like this is what we've done. So if this is equals to NIG, and so the second logical condition, what I'm doing now, like I told you, and if you want to use an and, this is an and, you write all the tests you want to be true before whatever happens. So this is the condition. I'm just saying if starting from the 5th character of this ending at 1, 2, 3, 4, this other character is equals Nigeria, and the next this thing is going to say is going to say C. Yeah, that's the quantity the person bought is greater than 4. Because if we want to say from 5 and above, we should just say greater than 4. We can say greater or equal to 5. This is also logically correct. So if this is satisfied as my condition, so where I used to write my logical test, in this logical test, I'm now writing 2 logical tests. I'm making sure this first test is satisfied and this second test is satisfied. So if someone is from Nigeria and that person didn't buy up to 5, is the person qualified for our promo? Hell no. The person doesn't is not qualified for discounts. If the person also buys up to 5, but that person is not from Nigeria, the person is also not qualified for our discounts. So I'm just trying to show you how we conditionally give discounts to all of these guys. So if this is true, then the value for true should be what? We assign that person 100%. Otherwise, we give that person 0%. So if you do
100,
that,
10%.
you say?
You say 100%, but you wrote 10% here.
Yeah, it's 10% I want.
Okay.
Yeah. So okay, let me just put it here. Let me just put all I've done here. I don't know if we are following. Please, it's necessary you do, like what I can do is to always try and
I'm lost.
break things down if I can.
What is the option of the formula, right?
Yeah, if you did all these ones that I asked you to do, because it makes it very difficult for me to move if you don't get the basics. if you did this one you are supposed to do, doing this won't be difficult for both of us. What I'm saying is we are just
Yeah,
writing
but
our
that
if
one
statement,
doesn't have MID and it doesn't have AND.
but we have treated this MID previously when we are doing text analysis.
What's the formula?
When we are treating how to handle text, we talked about this function mid. Now let me explain to you. So mid is a function. I think I'm screwing things up. Let me have this. Mid is a function that takes, look at what it does. If I say equals mid, sorry. If I say equals mid, what it does is it takes from any text you give to it. So in this case, we are going to give this text, right? It takes from the text. The starting number is asking you, where should I start? So we know we count from 1, 2, 3, 4. Each of them now, the country code starts from the 5th character. So I'm going to ask you to start from 5 and move how many characters? 3, because each of them has 3 alphabets as the country code, and each starts from position 5. That's their index. So when we do this and hit enter, we know it's picking Nigeria for us because we are working on this, right? If we pull further, let's say we pull it down. No, okay. If we pull it down, because what you're doing is asking me, you see, it's picking GHG. If we pull it down again, it picks QR. So we are just extracting the country code for this. And I'm saying, I am using this, I'm trying to explain to you what that mid is doing. But you're supposed to relate because we've done something like this before. Anything we do, for you to internalize it, you need to do it yourself. That's the secret. It's more like mathematics. You have to do it yourself to be able to get it. It's practical. It's something practical. It's not something that you just discuss and know it. It's not a story. So when you do it, you master it the second time. Just be doing that for us, please. So now what I'm trying to explain to you, you see how we are able to, like, what this function is doing. What this function, this mid, is doing is picking for each of these items, is picking the country code. So that's why I said if and mid, this mid is just picking the country code like I've explained, is equals to Nigeria. So I'm just telling you that each of these items, if each of these, I can't really remember what I did when I was preparing this. So if each in these items, the country code is Nigeria, and so that's what this is saying. If the country code is Nigeria, and the quantity the person bought is up to 5, that's see this now. This is the quantity bought now. That's the quantity, and this is greater or equal to 5. Assign that person 10%. Otherwise, allow it to be 0. I don't know if you get. Do you get it now? Or
Yes, we understand.
no? Okay, if you understand, do we all get? I don't think others do.
But you said the quantity the
I
person
did
bought
not
is
understand.
5 and 3. So, but inside the, I mean, here is 7 for Nigerian.
Mhm. Now, okay, now these are items, and each of these items have maybe where they are produced.
Yes.
This is the item number. Each of these items have their product number, but some of the product numbers are coded such that the number from the 5th character to the 8th character represents the country code. That's the country where the product was produced. Now, we want to give a 10% bonus to every buyer who buys an item that is produced in Nigeria, and that person buys up to 5. So if you buy an item from made in Nigeria, but its quantity is not up to 5, we don't give you any discount. So we only give discount if what you bought is from Nigeria and you bought up to 5. I don't know if you get the concept first.
Yeah, the concept is clear, sir.
Yeah. So now to implement that concept, I want to introduce us to this AND function. I'm telling you that AND is a function used when you want to satisfy 2 conditions, 2 or more conditions, not just 2 conditions. If you want to make sure, because in this case, from our requirements, We are saying the product must be Nigerian made, and that whoever is buying must buy up to 5. So if a product is Nigerian made and the person buys 2, does the person qualify for a discount?
No.
The
No.
person is, yeah.
But where do
So
we get
if
5 from?
it's a requirement,
5.
it's a business requirement. It's a requirement. It's just like we are selling things to, and our CEO or whoever says anybody that buys anything from Nigeria, we are getting it from this thing we are saying. Anybody that buys anything that is made in Nigeria and the
Oh,
person buys up
okay.
to 5, give him 10% discount.
So 5 is coming from the requirement from the question. Okay.
Yeah, is the business requirement. Maybe I should have included the question up. So with that
It's just an
requirement,
instant.
yeah, I will include it. I think it's my fault that I didn't do that. So with that
Yeah, I
requirement,
got it now.
yeah, with that requirement, I want to show you how to use and. Normally, if we want to write our if statements, we can just write something like this. The one we treated did not have and. We had something like this, and I believe you understand this. So with this now, we have something like this. So what this one is testing is anyone that buys up to 5 is qualified for 10%
10%.
discount. But that's not what I want in this case. What I want is anybody that buys something that is more than 5, that's 5 units, and that item the person is buying is from Nigeria, the person is qualified for 10%. Otherwise, the person should receive 0%. So in order to write that, I'm showing you that the syntax of AND, we use an AND function, or I like to think of it as an operator, but in Excel, they call it function. So to satisfy 2 conditions as a must, we use AND. So this is how it works. Just say AND, write a list of your requirements. So what I want to write as number 1 requirement is that mid, like the country code must be Nigerian. So to get that country code, someone should help me. I've done it before. How do I do that? I
You
should do
can't
mid what? Mid this, right? Comma. Where should we start?
We start from 5.
We start from 5 and takes 3 steps. So that's what number of characters. If you
3
look at
steps.
it, text starts from number 5 and takes 3 steps. So we are trying to say that, okay, I'm messing things up. We are trying to say that with this is now fine. Starting from 5 and taking 3 steps must be Nigeria. This is one requirement. The other requirement is that the quantity box must be greater than 5. We close this and. Remember, like I told you, this is always color-coded. You see, this is in red, this is in red. So we close this and. Then the whole of these now form our requirement, our logical test. Before we were writing very simple logical test, but now we've extended it to have all of this as our logical test. So what we are saying here is,
That should be D.
yeah, you said something. Okay, something.
The first after need, you're supposed to be D47.
Okay, it's because I'm talking too much.
Yeah, D47, yes.
Okay.
D47,
So
because I'm just confused.
Yeah. Okay, there's no. So when we do a thing like this returns 10% for us because this person bought 7 and the country code is Nigeria, right? So pulling it down,
Yes.
you find out that this other person bought 11, but the country code is not Nigeria, so this person is not qualified. This person bought 7, which is also more than 5, but not from Nigeria. We are signing 0% discount, but this person is from Nigeria and he bought 9, so he has 10% discount. This person is also from Nigeria, but he bought 4, which is not up to. He has 0% discount. So the intent of this example is for us to understand how to use and. I don't know if that's clear. Did we
Yes.
get that?
Yes, we understand, but we need to practice it here.
Yeah, please always try and practice. If we finish the class, just find time and practice, because if we keep doing this, it gets to a point, because whatever I'm doing, I'm picking it from what we've done previously. There was something I wanted to do. I realized I've not introduced this and or because it required it, I had to come back. So always practice. So you even have questions. So that's how I was able to get this. With this, the and function we just take into logical test, which must necessarily be satisfied. Then you continue with our normal if statement. Our if statements, this should be the condition. This should be what will be returned when it's true. This should be what is returned when it's false. So our condition is now complex because we are requiring that two conditions are satisfied here. So that's that. Let me clear this. The other, once we do and now, you can suspect the next thing is for us to do or, right?
Yeah.
So or works the same way. Now, you can
Excuse me,
also
sir. I have a question.
Okay.
Is it possible to use an if statement inside an if statement the way we did with the select statement in SQL?
You did not state the end of our last class. This is an instance of that. We did it last time now.
Ah, yeah, then it's okay. It's okay. I'll go to it. I was studying, but I
Yeah.
did not go through it. It's okay. I'll continue from there.
Yeah. To go through it, always once you click the Excel, it will reveal the this thing I wrote. So this is an instance of that. That was where we got stuck last time. We did.
Okay.
All these are nested if statements. You can also check this one. I think something like that occurs here too. If it's blank, if again, if it's yeah. So yeah, that's how to use and to use or. In this case, I want to in this case I think I'm writing for either the person is from Nigeria or the person has bought up to 5. So if you are buying from Nigeria, you should be qualified for our 10%. I don't think that's what I wrote. Oh. Let me check. Okay. Yeah, that's what I did. So in this case, what I'm using, or if you either you buy a product that's made in Nigeria, or you buy up to 5 for you to qualify for this our discount. So to write that, how do we go about that? We just say equals if our logical test. So in this case, we want to test that either you are buying a product made in Nigeria or you are buying more than 5. So we start with or. In this case, the syntax is exactly like the syntax of and. So we write or. What do we do? Mid. We can say mid. I didn't even you guys practice this. We would have done it with another way, another this thing, just to make sure we are practicing. But let's stick to this. So we say mid is starting from 5 and taking 3 steps. We want to ensure that this is Nigerian, and we want to ensure that this is Nigerian or that quantity is greater than 4. We can say greater than 4. We can say greater or equal to 5. They are the same as long as we are on natural numbers. So when we do this, we should, this is our condition. We should say 10%. Then, you can write 0.1 or you write 10%. So both of them are the same. If you write 0.1, you have to format it. So this gives us this. We pull down, and this is what we have. But it's not formatted in percentage. So when we format in percentage, we have exactly what we have here. So what this is testing, this product is made in Nigeria, and he has bought up to 5. So he has this discount. This one bought 1, 0 discount. This one bought 7. So he has 10% discount. Why? He's not from Nigeria because we are looking for products made in Nigeria or people that bought up to 5.
Five.
So this qualifies because it bought up to 5 and there's this discount. The same thing for all of them. So that's how to use or. If you have a question, you ask. If you don't have a question, maybe I'll ask mine. Are we clear with that?
Yes.
Okay, now we have what is called the truth table, which we met in mathematics. So this truth table is just when we did logics in mathematics, I think a logical table. It's just a way for us to know how to combine things. So the first is for and. If you have an expression that evaluates to true, if you AND it with another expression that evaluates with true, the result is going to be true. So that's what this table is doing. I have true here, I have true here. I simply wrote equals and this and this. So I'm even using formula to extract that and this and this. So if this is true and this is true, definitely this is going to be true. If this is true and this is false, then this is going to be false, right? And true, if you take true and false, it's going to result in false. If you take false and mix it with true, it's going to result in false. If you take false and mix it with false, and it's going to still return false. So that's the truth table. You can study it on your own. I don't want you to take our time. Just look at it. If you are not sure, just write true, then write equals and you pick the two sets. It's going to give you the value. But it's also fine if you can know it intuitively, like from your head. Now, coming over to or, true or true will always give us true. True or false will always give us true. False or true will always give us true. And false will always give us false. We saw it here. So in this case, this condition was satisfied. And this condition was satisfied. So it gave us, we had that 10%. In this case, this condition was not this is not from Nigeria, and this is not up to 5, so it's not satisfied. But this one, if this is true, but this is false, that is false true, gave us true. This is true, and this is also true, it gave us true. This is false, it gave us false. False true gave us true. So that's just basically what the table is doing. It's a truth table. You can generate that by just saying true, then false. Here you just say equals and put this, oh, and this, stop now, and this comma, this. So you find out if it's true. But if we use the or, it's going to evaluate to true because one of them is true. So that's now this is an expanded. You can also study this. This is exactly the same thing, but here we are mixing. We are having the associativity and all those stuffs. So here we have true. When you have two or and you mix it with and, whatever it gives. So you can just study it. To study it, click on it and see what I've written there. This is true. Then you click on what I've written there. It you always get what we are doing. So now, I don't want to waste time in all this. You will get them. Now, apart from if and apart from if, Excel gives us these two some functions. One of them is SUMIF. The other one is SUMIFS. SUMIFs. So how do they work? SUMIF is just our sum that works with an if statement. So we are not using an if statement. We are just saying SUMIF. Like now, I can have, let's say I have 11 and I have 5, I have 4, I have 8, I have 12, I have 1, I have 3. I have 6. Now, if I want to sum all of these, watch what this SUMIF does. If I want to sum all of these, and I don't want to include the outliers because this is mostly where you use this kind of stuff. Let me explain to you what an outlier is. If you're collecting data, let's say you just started a business and you want to measure how well your normal day in your business goes, maybe how many your average year sells. From the first time when you just start, possibly people don't know that you started, so people are not going to buy for the first day, or maybe they are buying 2, they are buying 3, they are buying 4. Then finally, after maybe 1 month, the business stabilizes and people are now buying in 50, 57, 58. If you want to take an average of how your day looks, it doesn't make sense for you to go and include the early days because they are outliers. There's a condition, there's something that happened that skewed that result. So if you bring them into your business, it's going to skew your analysis. So you normally shade off those outliers, those ones that doesn't make sense, either from the top, or let's say normally you record a 50, 60, and someone now all of a sudden put 50,000. You should know it was either an error, so it's an outlier. You always shade them off. So those kind of cases are where we use SUMIF. So in this case, I simply want to sum all the values that are bigger than 5. I have 11, 5, the rest of them. So I want to sum all the values that are bigger than 5. I know we are clear with how to use our if statements, how to combine, how to use multiple if statements, and how to use our and or. Should I write down with the new concept, or I need to work more on this? Sorry.
What's your question?
No, I want to move on, and I'm not sure if we understand what we've done previously, or I need to. You can ask questions if you have questions. Maybe what we did our last time, or the one we are doing now. It could be here, it could be here, it could be here, it could be what I just introduced now, which is and or. Do we have question, or I should write down and introduce the new concept I'm introducing?
Let's move on. No one. I think everyone is okay.
Move on. At least we go back and revise what we already taught. So let's move on.
Yeah.
Let's not drag you
Yeah,
back.
go back and revise it. Watch the video if you can't. So here, the SUMIF is a conditional statement that sums where conditions are met. So we are going to say equals SUMIF. So when we say SUMIF, it's going to ask us for the range we want to sum and our criteria. So we want to sum this range. What's our criteria? Our criteria is that this is bigger than. So you have to use this. This is bigger than or equal to 5. We close that. And some range bigger than or equals 5.
I think it should just be a comma after the F1, and those black how do they call it?
Okay. Sum if our range, we are summing this, right? So in this case, because we are going to drag this down, we know we should lock it, right? We should lock them. Yeah. Otherwise, they will skew our results. So we'll try and lock them. Now, this is the range. What's our criteria? Our criteria is going to be that this is bigger than 5, right?
Yes, sir.
This is bigger than 5.
Greater than 5.
Yeah, it's somehow.
I think it will go through.
Okay. It's not going through. I'm coming. There is just a small query. All right. So SUMIF, we have our range, we have our criteria, we have some range. I don't want to include this. There are cases where you don't need to include that, but let's do that now. It's still not giving us. So we need to let's look at it. Let's look at it. Equals some if. So as they say, specify by giving condition or criteria. This should be now what's really happening. If the result is wrong, then you are wrong. So in this case, I'm wrong. All right. So we all right. Let me check what I've done here. Let me check what I've done here. But this is simple now. Why am I forgetting? Let me check what I've done here. Okay. Is this what I'm doing? Okay, I think this is where I was. That's okay. All right. I've seen what we are doing wrong. I've seen what we are doing wrong. So what we are doing wrong, this is kind of tricky. In this case, we don't need to reference that cell. We just simply say greater than. We simply say greater than. We are saying greater or equal to 5. So we want to count from 5 and above. So this has to write it. I don't know if we got what I was trying to say. We don't even need to put this down. We don't need to put that down.
No.
No, we don't need that. Yeah. So look at the function. This is the SUMIF. What SUMIF does is it conditionally sums those that meet our requirements. So what's our requirement? We are saying sum. You know, ordinarily, if we sum everything here, like I told you, we normally have outliers, which are either items entered by example or those entered when whatever you're doing, your measuring has not normalized. So in this case, SUMIF only sums those items that are greater or equal to 5. That's from 5 and above. That means it's not adding 3, it's not adding 1, it's not adding this 4. Of course, if we do our sum for all of these, if we have sum for all of these, if we have sum and we include all these in our range, it's going to give us, okay, this is 50 because it includes 1, 3, and 4. That one is 42. So 1 plus 3 plus 4 is 8. So you see, it's shading off those ones that are not up to what we are looking for. That's what SUMIF does.
Okay.
So based on that, I want us to write it now. Look at it very well, what I've done. And I want us to write, since we don't use to practice, let's be doing the practice in the class. So this is SUMIF. What I'm doing, I give it the range to sum for me. Then I pass in the condition I need. The condition is that everything must be greater than 5. It goes. So look at it. Someone should help me with doing that. I need someone to do it. So I'll be sure we've understood it. So I'm supposed to say equals, how do I go? Of course, it's SUMIF, right?
Yeah, equals SUMIF. Then you select the range.
We specify the range and give the condition. The condition is just going to be that, you know, normally we used to do this, but this one doesn't work that way. We just do greater than 5. I mean, greater or equal to 5. Because what? Yeah. Or we can say greater than 4 if we want. So doing this gives us our results. We are not pulling down, we are just trying to sum. So it doesn't sum the small numbers. So that is exactly what I've done here. With that function, I've been able to, this is test names, then we have balances. Why is this not looking fine? We have this first name. We have, I don't know what column is this. Let me just say this column is account balance. Account
A number.
balance. So here, yeah, let's say account balance. Maybe I don't change that. Okay, not, yeah, it's account number. Thank you. It's account number.
Those digits are bigger for account balance. So.
No, we can have up to that now. So now, these are people, maybe I didn't include this when I was preparing the distance. So these are account numbers, they are just phone numbers, actually. But Opay uses it as account number. We want to check their balance, each of them their balance. So what am I doing here? What I'm doing here, some people are owing, this person is owing 11,000. These people are owing, some are owing, some are not owing. So I want to check how much is being owed. So this negative balance, I am going to calculate based on, in this negative balance, someone can tell me how to calculate the negative balance. I can just do SUMIF. Someone can try, maybe some other person, not Mr. Clovis. I am going to sum everything here, right? Only on the condition that, which one are we looking for? Are we looking for people owing? Only on the condition that this is,
yes,
that this is less than, if a negative number is a number that is less than 0, right?
yes.
Okay, so that this is less than
Yes.
0. So anything less than 0 is a negative number. If we do this, what are you saying? Okay.
Greater than 0.
No, greater than 0 is a positive number. Okay, I use some. Sorry. SUMIF.
SUMIF, yes.
Yeah. So we are going to start from this and stop here. I even included more. So SUMIF, this is greater than 0. This is less than 0. So any number that is less than 0 are those people owing us. If we want to calculate how much, the sum total of how much people are owing the company or whatever, we just say SUMIF this is less than 0. So with this, can someone help me? I think a lady should do that. Help me with the ones who want to check the ones that are bigger than 0. The ones that are positive balance. How much people have in our account. So this should be SUMIF.
SUMIF.
How do I go? Yeah.
You select the range from beginning to the top to the bottom.
This is our range. And what do we
Then
need?
greater than 0.
Greater than 0.
So greater than or equal to 0. But we can decide not to include the 0 because 0, even if we include 0, it's not going to make any difference. So
That's
this
if you
will
know
give
the
us,
list number now.
yeah, whether if someone is having 0 in our account and we are calculating how much people are owing, even if you add that 0, it doesn't change the number. If we have 12,000 and we include 0, it doesn't change the number.
Yeah.
So this is that for us. Yeah. We understand how to use SUMIF, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Now it has a companion, and that companion is SUMIFS. How do we use SUMIFS? Here we are building with our if statements, we built more than one condition. In fact, here we are doing much more than, okay, that one was branching into many branches. So here, our SUMIFS is going to sum, provided we are going to provide more than, like is more dynamic than what we've just done. It's more dynamic than what we've just done. But again, before we go into that, I think I need to also show us another stuff. Still with the SUMIF. The SUMIF has 3 arguments. So we are going to say SUMIF. One is optional, right? So SUMIF, we are going to give range. Our condition You know, the range of our condition here and here was just exactly here. We are using this, right? But in this case, want to calculate for this staff 4, or maybe we can calculate for another staff. So this is going to be in another range. Our condition, what we are testing, is different from what we are adding. Here, we are adding those ones, where we are adding was here, and that was also where we are testing. So in this other case, we are testing on another column and summing on another column. So in this case, our test is going to be that this is, we want it to be staff, let's say staff 2, right? We are going to say staff. So if you just want to do that, you just say staff. There's no equals if it's a text. We are going to say staff 2. We want to sum all the values for staff 2. Now we include our sum range. So this first range is the range that is telling us what we are testing against. This first range works with our test. The second range is where we are actually performing our sum. So in this case, we are going to do this and close up. So this sums all the values that was staff what? Staff 2. Staff 2 has made. Staff 2 is here. Staff 2 is here, right? Staff 2 is here. I think he's in 3 places. So to check if our distance is correct, we can just say sum. This is staff 2. And most times, just always test your distance. If you write, you test if it's working before you apply it, because we are dealing with just a small we are dealing with small distance. So chances are you have up to 3,000 rows. You can test with a small number to be sure you've not made a mistake. So, if we sum all of this, we have that value, and we're able to sum all of this because this is small data. We can see all of them visibly. But if it's large, you can just apply this function. You want to get all the cells that have been made by this staff 2. You simply say SUMIF if in this column you are going to pick the first one now because you're dragging. You are going to pick this first one. Then staff, you give the name and they say where you're summing. So this is where we are summing. The difference between this and this is that this one we are working on this range, and that's also where we are selecting. So that way we don't need to use this third argument. But in this other one, if our condition is on a different column and where we are summing, our operation is on a different column, then we need to, the first one is going to be our condition, that's criteria range. You can call this, instead of range, you can call it our criteria range, then our criteria, then our sum range. So that's how this one works. It's exactly the same function. So we here check for staff 4. You've seen how we can do that, right? Someone should help me with a function that will get our staff 3 for us. Our staff 3. Let's go.
Okay.
Equals sum if. Okay,
select
so
the range of staffs.
Okay, staff. We are going to be on staffs. Then we are going to say what?
Then we're going to say staff 4.
Okay. Okay. So we are going to say staff 4.
Staff 4.
And we are going to
the range of values of sales.
So we give it the range of values we want and hit enter. So staff 4 is exactly this. Okay, I see staff 3, but we calculated staff 4, and that's what it's supposed to be. So you can practice on your own. Please try all these things at home. Try doing them on your own. That's the way. Most times when things are taught like this, you think you've learned it until you try doing them yourself. So try them. If you don't get them, review what I've written. If you don't still get it, then you have a question for the next class. But if you don't do that, then there is likely no question. And here, We are going to be calculating, we have GDPs for 3 African countries over 10 years. And what do I want? So here I am going to introduce us to that some ifs. Some ifs, sums, but we have more than one condition satisfied. So it also acts more like that our and that we use. We are going to test for 2 conditions. So how do we use that? We are going to say equals sum ifs. The difference is s. That one is just SUMIF. This one is ifs. So ifs is telling you that we are going to list many conditions. So I want from this data, I want to pick values. I want to sum values whose country that falls within Nigeria and between 214 and 218. You see, looking at it, I want them to be Nigerians. I want the country to be Nigeria. Then the value should fall between 214 and 215. So this, we can use an and if, like if and. We can use that and construct to solve this kind of problem. But this is handy, and because it's handy, we are going to use it. So what do we do in this case? We have our sum range, we have criteria. We have our sum range, we have criteria. So if we want to ensure that this is that our sum range is always telling us where to pick now, right? So we'll pick from here. This is a little longer. We want to sum these. One thing about Excel is their documentation is good, right? It gives you so criteria range, then criteria. Our sum range, we are summing this. What should be our criteria? This is our criteria range or criteria. I don't really know. It's criteria or criteria. Both of them are correct. So this is our criteria.
We understand.
Yeah. Then this is our criteria range. So this criteria range is asking you where are you going to apply your criteria. The sum range is the range for you to sum. The criteria range is where you are applying your criteria. Then you finally write your criteria. Our criteria is simply going to be just the same way we wrote that. So we want it to be Nigerian. That's first condition. Our first condition is that this must be Nigerians. Now, after that, we are going to repeat exactly the same thing we've done. We have entered another criteria range. This is our first condition. Our first condition is that this person must be a Nigerian. So this we are summing all of these. Did I apply that? This is have I screwed something up? Okay, yeah, our criteria is that this should be Nigerian. We are picking from this. It's very, very possible that this is scattered. I just arranged them in one place, but we can scatter it so that it makes sense because I know the way you are looking at it, you can just say, why not just draw from here to here? So we can scatter it, but I didn't have that time. Scatter them and do our whatever. So the criteria is that this must be Nigeria. That's the first condition. This must be Nigerian, and this is the next criteria is going to be that this falls between 214. So to do that, we can say that we can say that the first this thing is going to be our other criteria range is going to be that our other criteria range is going to be that that's the criteria, criteria range, right? Is going to be, where are we checking if it falls within 214? It's within this range now.
Yes, sir.
So we give it the range to check. Yeah. The next is going to be our criteria condition, which is the condition, our condition. So the criteria is going to be that this is greater than or equal to 214. Greater or equals 214. So I'm going to use this. If you want to do this, this should be in this is kind of somehow, I used to also forget. So say greater or equal to, then concatenate it with the value you want, and That's how this one works. You just have to do it so many times to become familiar with that. So the next stuff is going to be what? We want it to be greater than 214. And mm, our criteria range, then criteria, right? Criteria range. So what other criteria do we want? We want it to fall between 214 and 218. So we are going to say another criteria, it is less than or equals to 18, right?
Yes. Less than, okay.
So what this is just doing, just write your criteria range, tell us the criteria, write your criteria range, tell us the
Tell you the
criteria. That's what we
criteria.
keep doing. Yeah. So you see they are all in block. They are all in block. So in this case, we have written this criteria. The next criteria is going to be, we've said that this must be bigger than 214, but we want it to fall between 214 and 218. So another criteria we are going to apply is still going to be on here. Our criteria range is going to be here, right? So these are our
Sir,
criteria. Sorry. Yeah. Yeah. Someone caught my attention. Less or equals. You can ask your question if you don't understand. Less or equals 218.
Okay.
I don't know if that's it. Okay, yeah, it's there. So we close them. It has returned 0. Something is wrong somewhere. It has returned 0. Okay, so someone caught my attention. What was that? Our sum range is here. Someone caught my attention now.
I think that is towards the concatenation. I think there is something wrong there towards the area.
Okay. So this is our. So what do we do? Did we do? We just specified what we want to sum, and we started writing conditions for it. We started writing conditions for it. So if you look at it, this is where we are summing. Now this is our conditions. This must be Nigerian. This must be greater or equal to 214. This must be less or equals to 18. And this should return a correct answer for me. It's returning 0. So do we get what I'm trying to do while we try to fix it? Sum range.
Yes.
Where is this?
Sum range.
Criteria 1. Criteria 1 is that this is a Nigerian. This comma. Okay, this should be Nigeria, sorry. Okay. So that was it. We added n and it's skewed our results.
Yeah.
So do we get what we are trying to do? It's simple. It's
Not
simple.
exactly. I want to know what you were actually looking for. What's the question again?
Okay. Now
As in,
look
what
at
are
the
we
question.
trying to achieve?
Look at the question here. Yeah, that's
Total
the
what?
nice question. Yeah, I want to use SUMIFS to just total the value of the GDPs that are coming from Nigeria between the dates, between the year 214 and 218.
Okay.
Sum up all the GDPs that are coming from Nigeria that falls within 214 and 218. So this could be scattered. Don't mind the way I arrange them. They can scatter it, put Chad, put Nigeria, Ghana, whatever, ga. Put it anyhow. It's your responsibility to now write this kind of stuff that will filter exactly what you need. So the first thing to pass in is summary. So what are you summing? We are summing these are the GDPs. So you start writing all your criteria. So the first criteria, you give it the criteria range. Where should you search for? That's condition. We are looking for, we want this to be Nigeria. So country should be Nigeria. That's why we use this as the criteria range. All of this, it must be Nigeria. That's the first condition. The second condition is it must be within this. We can write this with an and. This must fall within the, so this, the year must be between 214 and 218, which means the year, if it is between 214 and 218, that means if the year is either greater or equal to 214 and also less than or equal to 218. So anything outside that range is not in our, we are not looking for that. So that's why we have the first condition, this must be Nigeria. The second condition, this must not be less than 214. So anything less than 214 is not valid. The third condition, this must not be more than 218. And we had our results. So once we get these two concepts, I will move ahead and we do the rest of the class as classwork. People will just help me and be doing the rest, because what the next thing we have is going to be exactly, let me show you how simple it is. If I just do something like count ifs, it works for both. If I do something like count ifs and hit enter, okay, it's supposed to return that, but something happened there anyway. So count ifs, we have count ifs, we have average ifs, and all of them follow the same. They follow the same this thing. So some if is some ifs that we are working on. So can anyone get me these values between the range of 210 for Ghana? Okay, let's do the same this thing for Ghana. Let's do for Ghana between 214 and 218. Some ifs, right? Where are we summing? Someone should do that. I want you to do that so that you get it. Can anyone try? You can
Okay,
try.
let me
Look
try.
at,
Let me try.
yeah, looking at this, if you once you write the function, it gives you the function signature, how to use the function. Sum range, where are we summing?
D.
D column, yeah.
Yeah, so we are summing this. So we give it the range completely. We could have also named all of these if we decided to name it. We could make it a named range. So we are summing that on which condition? So this condition one, where are we looking for the condition? So the condition range, criteria range one. So we are ensuring that I said I want for Ghana, not Nigeria. So where should be the criteria range?
B.
It should be on B. So we select everything. Like I said, there could be unsorted. So one this, and what do we want it as? Want it as
Ghana,
Ghana.
the range, the criteria.
Ghana.
Yeah. So what else do we want? We want it to fall within 214 and this. So we'll write that to make it 214, to make it fall within 214, we say what other range do we want? So we are coming to here, right?
Yep.
So I am going to select this condition, right? We are going to select this condition and say that this should be what? Greater or equal to, if you want to use greater, we can say 2013. We can even write it out bold, or we can pick from this. We can say this is greater than 214, right? So what next? If you finish, Look at it. The active this thing becomes highlighted. So this is highlighted. We are entering the next range. So this is more like guiding you through doing what you're doing. So what else do we need to do? The third condition. The third condition is that it's no more than 218, right? So what do we do? Someone, a lady can help me.
Like criteria C.
Yeah. Criteria range. This is the active. This one that is highlighted is where we stop. So we need to move to the next one. The next one is criteria range. So what's the criteria range?
C.
We want to ensure, yeah, you said, okay, what, you said something?
Yeah, you are like the C.
Yeah, so C. You know, highlighting C, we move down to other stuff. Yeah. So we highlight C, comma, what is the criteria? We say, less
than
and equal to. 2019. Yeah, you can do that. We can say this, less than 2019. All right. I knew this is funny. So what is funny about this is that
will it
you need
still
to
be 2019?
Yeah,
Because
if you use
2019
less
is
than.
Nigerian.
If you use this, yeah, if you say less or equals, that's inequality for you. That means you're including 218. But here I'm saying it must be strictly less than 219, which means anything from 218 and below is qualified, right? If I use equality here, I am going to reduce this to 18. This is correct. If I use equality here, then I'm going to step this up to 14. They are the same. So, okay, remember here, I used to forget this, and so always include this sign is concatenation. Which one again? One of them is still not correct. Okay, this is not
after the concatenation. No need to put the type the 2014, or you just put the number of the cell.
No, we are not using cell. I want to show you this one too. We also do this. There's something like this too. There's something like this, and I think it should be like this. It's just you getting used to that. There's something like this. I'm using to. Wow. All right. Sign. You typed 1 plus 1. Is that there's problem with typing? Not trying to type when the first character is equals or minus. Instead, this is a formula. You type 1 plus 1. So it shows 2. To get around this, type apostrophe. No, I don't want to get around that. Anyway, let's use the let's use this thing. But there's one if you want to use an exact character. There's how they format it. There's how it's formatted. But let's use this. There's how it's formatted. It's just not that intuitive. And me, I forget anything that is not intuitive. So we are going to have this. So this is this. Let's try. There's really something messing up this somewhere. No. No.
Maybe you should click on the Nigerian one and see what you're doing wrongly in this one.
Where is that one I typed? It's disappeared.
The answer we got in the Nigerian one.
Yeah.
Instead of writing 214, we use G
Okay. I'm coming. Let's just pick this.
And change Ghana.
Yeah. So I can drop this here. All we are doing difference is saying Ghana here, right? Ghana. So this calculates for Ghana. Now let's look at what we were not doing. There was something. I did this and
We are not.
we made a mistake somewhere which we couldn't trace. So that's it for Ghana. This sums all the
No,
values that falls within that range. But like I said, someone is trying to say something.
I think the only difference from this one and Ghana is just we put the code instead of 2014. We just use G132.
Okay, so this. Okay.
I think that's it.
Okay. Better than there are some funny, not intuitive. You just need to get used to that. Okay, you see, but I did this the first time and it didn't work. So this is greater than 214, or we can say greater or equals 214. I think I did this. Then here we are going to say 218. What I'm trying to do is to show you that this is also possible. So this still gives us the same value. In this case, we reference these cells. In this case, we are hard coding the values. So it's giving us the same results as we had before. So this is for Ghana. Now, I believe we are clear with this now. It's just that we're making mistake. We are clear how we are getting this, right? I hope we are clear how we got this. Okay, so if we got how we got that, we can move on to this. Was the class work that I kept for you. You do it. It's a class work. So here I'm using summing values between dates. That's exactly what we did up. So you can use to sum values between dates, between two dates. You can just do an arithmetic to get to that. So I think I used an arithmetic. You can study the arithmetic. They're also simple on your own. Maybe we sum the values that fall between this, then subtract the values that fall between whatever it will give us. We are just using sum if the first one we used to get this, then use this to get another range and subtract this from the other range. That's it. Then I expect you to use the same problem I've solved. Study this. You understand what I've done. SUMIF, we are using the SUMIF that we've done before. The SUMIF, where are we summing? We give the range. The range is here. Then this should be greater or equals this. And we are this in this case now we are using that one that has the three arguments. So our sum range is here. Then we are writing our condition, and where our condition is working is here. So do it, study it is intuitive. You understand what I'm doing. But after doing that, solve this same problem that I solved here using some ifs. Because in this case, if I'm using some if, then I have to do an arithmetic. But if I'm using some ifs, I'll just use conditions to achieve what I achieved. And let me include this too. I've spoiled something. Because I've seen this, I've spoiled something now. You know what? Let me
Just press escape. You go back. Escape. You go back to its initial position. Escape.
Okay, quick. Thank you. So escape does that. So now solve this. The other classwork is for you to solve this
What is the escape?
using and construct. So I think I've shared this before. So on your own, solve that using and construct. This is the sample data. You can check what I did here. But here I'm using arithmetic. So I want you to use SUMIFS to get the same value I got here. The value should be that we are summing these between the starting date should be this, the end date should be this. So sum all the values that falls between that range. This is 26, so should be between 26 and quotes. So all the values that fall between 26 and quotes, I want you to sum them together for me. I've summed that, but I want you to use a SUMIF. If you understand how to use this SUMIF here, you should be able to do that. So the other this thing is COUNTIF. What does COUNTIF do? COUNTIF, instead of summing, you know, the other one was summing them. COUNTIF, we just sum the values. I mean, count the values. So to use COUNTIF, the normal COUNTIF, we do the same thing that we've done before. COUNTIF, range, criteria. But this, we are using one addition. So you can, if you start from COUNTIF is going to give you the option of including okay, COUNTIF only has two criteria. I mean two arguments. So just do COUNTIF. To COUNTIF, I want to count all the values that are below 200,000. The values that are below 200,000. So we just use COUNTIF. We are counting the range now. We say we are counting all of the values here that are below this, below 200. You can write it out. You can also do this. So something's wrong. Okay, not that. So we want it to be less than all the values that are less than or equals. We can say less than or equals, or we can say just less than 200. So 200,000. I believe this is what we did. I keep making mistake with this, so
No,
let me use this that I'm familiar with. So someone wanted to make a contribution. So this is it. But the other time, this equals all right. Okay, it's like we put it inside 200,000. Okay, so that's it. We put it inside. This is counting all the values within this range that are less than 200. If you inspect, you should be able to see them. This is 19 days. If you inspect, this is also less than that. That's what COUNTIF does. Now, your classwork is to do count those ones that fall between 300,000 and 400,000. So to do that, you will just count. In fact, do that. Or have I done it? Okay, this is a classwork. So now, COUNTIFs. This does not do it. Okay, so COUNTIFs is much like what we've been doing. So to use COUNTIFs, we just write exactly what we've been doing now. This is going to be COUNTIFs, but it's going to have our count range. COUNTIFs, it will ask us for criteria. So we start listing the criteria. So once we count start here and end here. So once you count, the first one is going to be that this is going to be Nigerian. So we specify this. This should be Nigeria. Exactly what we did. Criteria. Nigeria. No, not Nigerian. Nigeria. So the next criteria is going to be what? It should fall within that range, right? So criteria range is going to be here. It's going to be here. So that's the criteria range. And what is going to be our criteria? Our criteria is going to be that this is less or equals to 14. We can use 2014. I hope this doesn't. Then our next criteria is going to be no, less or equals is not correct. Why? Why is it not correct? Why is less or equals? Want it to fall between 214 and 218, and I use less or equals, but I'm saying it's not correct. Why is that not correct? Less or equals 2018. So why is that not correct, please? So if I say less or equals 214, that means 214 and below. It doesn't fall within this range. That means it's going to count 210, 211, 212, 213. Because I'm counting
Okay,
214
greater.
and below. Yeah, so since we want it to fall within that, we are going to say greater.
Great.
So this gives us 5. 5 fall within the range. Can someone help us with we got it right? It's simple. It's exactly what we did in the other side. So someone should help me and do the same for let's count how many falls between okay, let's count how many falls between Ghana that falls between 212 and 215. This is simple. Like the way I've arranged the data is just very, very simple. So how do we do that? Or maybe we'll go for shard. Can a lady help? Can a lady help? I want us to use COUNTIFs. Can someone help? My network is off. Someone should help now. Hello? Looking at this, you should be able to see what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
Criteria range. So where are we taking our criteria? Someone should help. Criteria range
Column D. Okay.
is column B. We want to ensure, or we can start from column D anyway. If you want to write, you can reorder that and let's do that. So you said column D, right?
Yes.
But I don't think we have. We want to count all the ones that fall between 214 and 218 that are from shard. Column D is giving us value. So we want to count all the ones that fall between this. So I think we can say the first condition, we want to just ensure that it falls between, I want to rearrange that so that we know we can do that. It should fall between this and our criteria should be this is greater or equals 214, right? Then we do that again.
Yes.
We do that again. Want it to fall between, it wants it to fall to be 218, right? So we say less or equals 2018. Then I want to ensure that it's from shard. So where are we looking for shard? We'll come here. I want you to be doing it so that let it not be as if I'm asking a question and also, and the essence is just for you to It's just for me to be sure you've learned what's like you've seen what I'm trying to say. So this should be shared. If I'm doing this, I'm not so that's it. So we still have 5 within that range. How about we alter our range and now say maybe 210 and that. So we have a different value. Like I said, you can, if you want 210, you can say greater than 29. This is also not wrong. It still gives us the same value. So that's that for count if. And now you've learned count if. You will still do the same thing for me. I've written something that counts values that fall between this from here now. I've written something that counts the values that fall between these dates, these 2 dates, right? I've listed dates and they are 8. So I want you to use count ifs to count that for me. It's also possible. You can review this. So count if, we gave the range, we gave the condition, we used another one, we gave the range, we gave the condition, subtraction. So what I did is for it to fall within that range, I did the bigger range. So this and below, this should be greater or equals, I counted the ones that are greater than or equals the first distance down. Then I counted the ones that are greater than or equals the second value. But you know, the first one is going to start from here down. Let's say it starts from here. It's going to start from here down. The second one will now start from here down. So if the first one that starts from here down gives us 7, and this one gives us 2, that means 7 minus 2 will give us the value that fall in between. So that's what I did to get this. I'm using count if, but I want you to use count ifs because this requires us to do some arithmetics. This one requires us to just write conditions. So is homework too. Please do it. And when you do it, share your code on the WhatsApp group. Do it and share your code on WhatsApp group, or you can share it personally to me so that others don't copy it. Do it so it will make you to think. The other one is average. Okay. The other one is average. Thank you, Mr. Clovis, for that tip. I did not know that before, and I've been struggling with that. So my worries are over. So this
It's okay,
one,
sir.
yeah, this one is average. It works the same way. If you've learned SUMIF, you can do all the most of the ifs. So this is just averaging values that are, we are still taking our benchmark. We are taking the average of values that fall below 200. You can also change this benchmark when you're practicing and give it you can ask yourself a question from this. So once you get the average of values that fall within this, and we are simply using the same function, average if. So average if, once you say average if, it tells you range criteria, range for the next averaging range. So this is range criteria, then the where we are actually averaging. So the range, our condition is that this is going to be less than what's 200. So our range is still here, right? This is where we are looking for that. The next we are going to say less or equals, less or equals. If you want to concatenate, use concatenate and use this. Otherwise, you put everything inside. So want it to be less or equals that, and our range, our average range where we are averaging is still here. So this should give us the average of those values that fall below 200. So this is their average. You can also add them together and average them. But I think this could be a bit tedious for us to find. So what the average is just taking is not minding anything 300, anything more than 200 is not counting them, it's not averaging them. It's exactly the same thing. So our classwork or homework now should lead to average those that fall between this range. You can do it the way I did with minus, then also try using this average ifs. Average ifs works exactly the same way. So I've not written it. Maybe I was touching it and I messed it up. So this should be average ifs, average range. So where do we want to average? This is this. This is where we are applying our calculation on. Then the first criteria is someone can help me now. We've done this over and over. So what should we do? What should we do? Criteria range 1, then criteria 1, criteria range 2, criteria 2. So someone should do that for me. It works the same way. Criteria range 1 should be what? Want it to fall between 214 and 218. So it should not be less than 214.
And it should be Nigeria also. So let's select the criteria range 1, which is the country, the name of the country. Let's set it to Nigeria.
Okay, so want to ensure this is Nigeria, right?
Yep. Then
Highlight
type
C.
Nigeria.
Okay, we can also highlight C like she said.
Mm-hmm.
Then
second criteria 1 now.
okay, criteria 1. That's 2. We are now here. We are done with this.
Yeah. So now
Okay,
select
so
the range of the dates, since we want to
yes.
make it to fall in between 2014.
So we do this and
Putting our
simply
criteria.
okay, so we say that it's
Greater than
less. Okay, yeah, greater or equals
2014.
2014.
Yeah.
Okay. So what next?
Criteria 3. Select the range of dates also, so that we make it fall between or greater than 2018.
So this should be less or equals
2018.
2018. And we
That's it.
run this. So with this now, we can use, I think we are done with the, okay, this is for you to do. Now we can use our if statements. We have ifs too, but let's end it with this. We can use your if statement to get what we are doing. So this is just like what we call syntactic sugar or syntactic candy. You hear people say that in coding. That's more like a shortcut. It's not like you can't logically come up with this. So we can just say this is ifs, if uh if and, right? If and we start writing our conditions. We got that right. If and logical condition 1 is going to be what? I want to ensure that this is Nigerian and this falls between the range. This is bigger than 214 and this is less than 214. I mean 218. So we can use our if constructs and say if and this is what was the condition? The condition is the country should be Nigeria, right? So I'm in the wrong place. Mm, I'm in the wrong place. So this should be equals Nigeria. In fact, do that as an assignment. This should be equals Nigeria. The next condition is what? The next condition is this should be less or equals 2014, and the third condition, and make sure that all these conditions I'm listing must be satisfied. So I've done it halfway. The other condition is going to be greater than or equal to 18. Then you return, if it is true that all these conditions are satisfied, return something. So after listing our if conditions, we are going to write a uh, what should be returned in our stream. So do that as an assignment and also send to me. Please do it. I want you to do it. The assignments. You doing it helps me and it helps you. Because there are a lot of
Yes.
things that when I want to do them, if I discover you've not revised, I will have to not do it. Or we'll still end up trying to go and catch up what we've done 2, 3 times ago. The essence of learning this is not just for you to sit down and watch and we have done it. The essence of learning it is for you to know it so
Practicing.
you can apply it on your own. You're going to be using it. So whichever we learn, try and know it and practice them whenever you have time. Also go over, you already have these sheets. So from these sheets, if you did not, please go over this. This is a suite. In fact, with this we use this to grade results. So someone can just give grades 65, whatever our result comes down. When you apply this, exactly what we've applied here, maybe we can just do validation and draw it down. It will tell you who had A, B, C, whatever. Different from now that we are just using it to shape one. So try to study this, study this, then also practice what we've done here. I was proposing we having a class on we were supposed to have a class on weekends, but I think we might not because I have an engagement on both days, both on Sunday. But depending, I think the person I'm going to do something for is the person that called while we are having the class. So if I understand what we are doing, I will know if what I'm going to do if I'll do it early on and have a class with us.
That'll be
Otherwise,
fine.
we'll meet next week. I
That'll be
simply
fine,
want us
sir.
to, yeah. So we'll do pivots. Is it pivots or we do lookups because lookups will help us create visualization. It will help us
Visualization.
summarize our data, yeah, and
Sir.
visualize. So we'll touch on that first and visualize. I think by next week we should be done with Excel and with Inter Power BI.
Yeah. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you. Really appreciate
Then,
everything.
yeah, I will appreciate it if you do like you just do the exercises.
Not the exercise.
It's not
I won't miss this time. I'll make sure I do it.
do the recreate what I've done, all of these, recreate them on your own. Run into problem, ask ChatGPT, go online, ask question. You can ask if you ask a question, every question is answered in this. Like it's rare for you to ask a question that has not been answered in Stack Overflow. So ask such question, look for answer outside the class, It will help you ask questions when we come to the next class, and it will also help me flow. So thank you. I'll upload this, and we'll meet on Monday. But if it's possible for us to meet within the weekend, I'll let us know on time. But let's assume we want to have a class on weekend. When will it? When would we like it to be?
Well, if you can do it in the morning, then you go follow your activities of the day. For me, that's what I'm proposing.
Okay. All right. I'll check. If it's going to work, then we'll do that. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Let's meet. Yeah, let's meet some other time.
Thank you, sir. Take care of yourself, man.
Thank you.
Okay.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye, sir.
Okay. Bye. Hi. This is